So here we are, another Easter. Hands up if you did an Easter egg hunt this morning. Did the Easter bunny come? There's two very little ones there. Adriana, did you do Easter eggs this morning? Did the Easter bunny bring you some Easter eggs? Yes. Oh, wonderful. I don't know if you saw, Adriana had a wonderful little flag of some streamers that she was waving, weren't you? It was wonderful, yeah. So it's another year where we go on this quest for Easter eggs, and another year where we wonder how a bunny rabbit ever became a symbol of Easter, a symbol of spring, obviously. It's another opportunity to hear one of these resurrection stories that Sandra just read to us. But let's be honest, some of these stories raise more questions than they answer. Especially, I suggest, for those who avoid the Christian church, perhaps for the rest of the year, other than Christmas, because they think, well, it's really a bit of fairy tales, isn't it? So I'd just like us to consider some of these stories of the resurrection of Jesus. Let us examine them together. Or, as God said to Isaiah, come, let us reason together. First, let's look at Luke's account, the one that Sandra just read for us. So we have Mary Magdalene and some other women, unnamed, trot off to the tomb early, very early. They find the stone is already rolled away and the tomb is empty, gone, Then, poof, two men, the text says, in dazzling clothes appear, and they deliver the news that Jesus isn't there, he is risen. Remember what he said, say the two men, to Mary and the other women. Do you remember back in Galilee about being handed over, about being crucified, about rising on the third day? The women remember what Jesus said and they rush off. They tell the 11. That's the 12 disciples minus Judas, for those who are not quite keeping up. The 11 think it's all nonsense, empty talk. It's women's talk. What do they know? They're women. Superior blokes, But Peter thinks, I better go and check. So he goes off to the tomb and he has a look in, and there's just linen wrappings, just like there is in our little Easter garden down here. Do come and have a look at the Easter garden afterwards. And also at this amazing array of flowers. Some of you can't even see the beauty of the flowers up here, symbolizing that Easter moment. So before you dash out the door, take a moment to appreciate them. And let me say a big thank you to our whole flower team. But that's Luke's account. What about Matthew's? Matthew's account of the same event is pretty different. First of all, there's a violent earthquake in Matthew's account. An angel descends and rolls back the stone and then sits on it, terrifying the guards. There are guards in Matthew's account, not in Luke's, so much so that they faint. Then Mary Magdalene and the other Mary arrive, and the angel tells them not to be afraid. Jesus has risen. He's going ahead into Galilee. They should tell the disciples, same as Luke says. And they leave quickly, afraid, yet filled with joy. Then, bam, Jesus himself meets them. They clasp his feet. They worship him. Jesus repeats that Galilee instruction. It's all feeling like it's a bit of a different story, isn't it? How about Mark? Let's look at Mark. Simplest of the lot. Earliest of the Gospels, the first Gospel to be written down. Mark says that the women arrive and they see a young man, not two men, not an angel, just a young man dressed in white. He tells them Jesus is risen, he's going to Galilee, tell the disciples. The women flee, but say nothing to anyone. Nothing to the 11, nothing to Peter. They're afraid. End of story. Well, the original ending anyway. There were some later bits tacked on. And then finally, John's Gospel. Okay, in John's Gospel, Mary Magdalene goes alone. The stone is gone. She runs to Peter and the beloved disciple, just two of them. They then run back. Peter goes in, sees the linen wrappings. The beloved disciple, possibly John, sees and believes. Mary stays outside weeping. She sees two angels. Then Jesus appears. She thinks he's the gardener. He says her name, Mary. She recognizes him. She tries to hold on to him. He says, don't cling to me. He hasn't yet ascended. Go and tell the others. It's confusing, isn't it? When you start matching these accounts all up, it's a little bit confusing. Even Paul, writing much earlier, we think, than even Mark's gospel, has another take. He lists eyewitnesses to Jesus' resurrection. Peter, the 12, over 500 brothers and sisters at once. James, the brother of the Lord, all of the apostles, and then last of all, Paul himself in a vision on the road to Damascus. Paul doesn't mention an empty tomb. There's no women finding angels. There's just appearances in Paul's account. So what do we make of all this? Are these identical accounts? Not exactly. Are they harmonious? Well, not really. There are certain things they all have in common, but there are different details, different emphases, different characters even. Does this undermine the core message? Well, some people think so. Some people clutch at these discrepancies between the texts and declare the whole thing, therefore, must be a fabrication, a house of cards built on shaky foundations, a fairy tale, nothing more. But what if the point is not a literal blow-by-blow account? What if the point of these stories is the earth-shattering impact of this Jesus, this radical rabbi who preached love for enemies, who challenged the powerful, who offered hope to the marginalized? This man was executed brutally. His followers were devastated. Their dreams lay shattered. Yet something happened. Something profound. Something that reignited their hope. Something that propelled them out into the world with a message that ultimately turned the Roman Empire upside down. Was it the literal resuscitation of the corpse, the resurrection of Jesus into a new resurrection body? Maybe. Maybe not. Perhaps the stories of the empty tomb, the angels, the appearances are the ways that these early followers tried to articulate the inexpressible. The dawning realization that even death could not extinguish the flame that Jesus had lit. That his spirit, his message, his way of being in the world was still alive in them, among them. Could it be that insistence upon a physical resurrection as a scientifically verifiable event might be hindering belief for many? You see, we live in a world obsessed with proof, don't we? With empirical evidence. And frankly, these ancient stories with their inconsistencies and their supernatural elements, well, they don't always fit neatly into our scientific worldview. But it's vital we understand that the Gospels were not written as historical documents. The people who wrote these stories didn't treat history like we do, in absolute accuracy to exactly what happened on a given day at a given event was not their purpose. In fact, they even write themselves what their purpose was. John says right at the end of his gospel, these stories were written to inspire belief, so that you may know and trust that Jesus Christ was the Son of God. So what if we shifted our focus a little bit, folks? What if we emphasized the spiritual notion of resurrection, the enduring power of Jesus' love, the transformative potential of his teachings, the way his message continues to inspire acts of compassion and justice and peace even 2,000 years later. Think about it. It's impossible to deny the impact of Jesus' life and teachings, isn't it? It's impossible to dismiss the countless individuals who have been moved to change their lives, to work for a better world because of Jesus and his message. Isn't that a kind of resurrection? A resurrection of hope, a resurrection of love, a resurrection of the human spirit. Easter, you see, is that moment when we proclaim that the graves we dig for ourselves can be emptied. You see, maybe the details of how it happened matter less than the undeniable fact that something happened. Something shifted. The world would never be the same. A small group of frightened disciples were transformed into bold proclaimers of a new reality, a reality where love conquers hate, where justice flows down like rivers, where even death has lost its sting. So, my friends, those who are here every Sunday, and those of you just joining us today, you are most welcome too. Let's together celebrate the enduring legacy of Jesus. Let's not try and persuade our atheist friends and neighbors that they must believe what seems to them impossible in order to follow Jesus, or that they must ignore the enormous inconsistencies in the text. Instead, let's embrace the power of his message. Let's make Christianity credible again to a modern generation. Shall we? Let's allow Jesus' spirit to be resurrected in our own hearts and actions. For that, my friends, is a resurrection we can all believe in. A resurrection that continues to change the world, one act of love at a time, one step towards justice at a time, one act of healing at a time. Now, surely that's something worth celebrating and saying, Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. Alleluia.